Our next speaker is going to be keynoting at LinkedIn Talent Connect in Anaheim next month. He has keynoted at Social Recruiting for LinkedIn this year. We've got him to come here for the director's cut. Dave is one of the founders of a business called PH Creative that have been super successful working with organizations to try and really understand marketing and turn that into money, into business. And he's summed a lot of this stuff up in his first book. It's your first, isn't it? Getting Goosebumps, which is available to download on Amazon. But genuinely, I recommend you buy it instead because it's gorgeous. As a physical book, it's one of those things where you actually have to buy the book because it's just such a richer experience. It gives anybody from any background a really basic understanding of digital marketing, right up to the level of actionable insights without all the bullshit you usually see in these kind of things, all right? Dave's become a good friend of mine in social talent. He's the man who's famous for his 7-second hug. 6 second?
Fucking hell.
He always gives me a 7 second.
Nick
gets an 8 second. What's that all about?
She's getting 69 seconds.
Whoa!
See what I did there? I haven't even drunk yet.
I like that. And the drink comes in an hour. Guys, always a pleasure to welcome him on stage with the most beautiful slides I will never have the pleasure to have. Please welcome on stage, Dave Hazlehurst.
Okay, I've got 20 minutes to go through a lot of slides, and I want to do is just give you some chunks and insights of things we've used in other worlds and ways of thinking. So I'm going to crack on. This is quite a boring slide, but when we go to a pitch, we always use this slide. And because when we stand in front of marketing directors, and this includes the likes of Tesco's, the likes of Virgin, the likes of Dulux, Axon on Bell, even now, a lot of marketing directors think of these 4 things in isolation. They think they need to go over here to do a bit of SEO and get organic visibility, and then maybe we'll go over here and someone must be doing our social media, and they think of them, they don't think of them as truly integrated and how they influence one another. SEO has moved on massively to the point where last year, and I wasn't the first to say it, I said it was pretty much dead. I got shot in flames, but there was a reason to that. SEO is a given for me. SEO is a given. You don't get great SEO or organic visibility without a brilliant experience for your people online, If you have great content that's in the right context, at the right moment, at the right place, at the right time, they'll have a great experience. They'll find what they're looking for. And if they really love what they're looking for, they'll tell the world about it. They'll share it in their social channels, in communities of customers, clients, just like themselves, and you'll earn social signals that will give you a good reputation, that will give you more greater organic visibility. So these 4 circles are really one, which is digital marketing. That's a boring slide. So more than anything, it's about people. Technology goes on and on and on. I saw a slide yesterday that was chopsticks, that as you put the chopsticks on food, it measures for contaminants. What's going on? That ruins my Sunday night hangover Chinese takeaway. There's rats in my Chinese food and the chopsticks are telling me. But, you know, we go mad about technology and we do go mad about big data. But for me, it's all about people. It's not about keywords. It's not about SEO. It's not about social. It's not about content. It's about people and their behaviours. And we do a lot of CX mapping. So this is human-centred, behaviour-driven understanding of people before we even consider digital. We've done this a lot in the hospitality space with Crown Plaza, Holiday Inn, and it's really understanding the journeys people take in the moments and the multiple touch points on and offline, and what does that look like, and what do they feel and think as they go through the process, and how easy is it. I spoke to a guy who was head of CX for Lloyds, and he's now at Virgin. Lloyds Bank do not pay sales commission anymore. They pay commission on how people feel about going to Lloyds Bank. They measure it on NPS. Some of you may have heard of Net Promoter Score. They pay their bonuses to their team on how people feel, how their customers feel. Imagine if there was a recruitment model that rewarded their team because they made their candidates feel incredible. Imagine if there was a recruitment business that made their clients feel so amazing they tell the world about them. You'd now be in tune with candidate experience of people you want to work with. So why aren't we doing it? Why aren't we doing it? We need to design for happiness. Happiness doesn't happen by accident. Happiness is a direct correlation to ROI. Happy moments in the moments that you know of and the moments that you don't know of. People research for jobs for up to 2 hours before you even know who they are, unless you're using the technology, the Candy technology, or HubSpot, or Sidekick. So you've got to design your processes for happiness. That will give you good sentiment, and it will give you amplification, brand amplification. This is something that we did with Virgin. I'd urge you to go away and do this yourselves. Think about your multiple touch points in your process of where your customers, your clients go through. But in this space, these first two is digital. But it's not just what do they do, it's how do they feel, how do they think, and how easy is it to do it at that stage. 18-page application form. Who the fuck is going to bother filling in an 18-page application form? You go to sleep. If that was on if we were at Tesco's Opticians, if that was an 18-page checkout, we wouldn't be selling glasses anymore. I can tell you that much. CX planning, CX journey mapping, design for happiness. I didn't even know who he was till yesterday. Curious George. Our creative director's going, Curious George. I'm going, who the fuck's Curious George? I haven't got a clue who he is. Don't know who he is. God, I must be getting older than the rest of the team. Be curious and dig deep. Dig deep. Use data, use analytics. Voice of the customer. Years and years and years ago, I used to manage health clubs. And we used to have member forums every 3 months. We used to invite members in. We'd have a cup of coffee. It would end up into booze, no doubt, knowing me. But every 3 months, we did it religiously. So they'd actually tell us what the hell was going on. How often do you do that with clients? How often do you do it with your customers, with your candidates? Because they'll tell you what's going on the ground. Big data will tell you what. It doesn't necessarily tell you why. That requires human interaction and insight. And part of CX is actually speaking to real life people. Who'd have thought it? Who'd have thought it? Heat mapping. Has anyone done heat mapping on their digital stuff? Okay. Google, one of the big things Google's really turned the needle on is behavioural metrics. If you give a great experience, it's going to love you for it. It wants to give its customers, all of us searching in the search engine in Google, a great experience. It wants you to find what you want, what you're looking for. Heat mapping is a way of seeing what's going on. It gives us another layer of how people feel and what they're looking for on a website. This is what clients of ours, it's not their website anymore. This is just before we changed their website. It's the Echo Arena in Liverpool. This place doesn't get clicked. No one gives a shit. And it's got a massive banner, who cares? Buttons attract clicks. There's no button on that banner. Buttons attract clicks. The search is the hottest spot of the site because people want to find what they're looking for. On an e-commerce site, we worked with a site that had a search box, top right corner. It was about that big. It had 6% of traffic use that part of the site. It gave 36% of revenue. Guess what we did to the redesign? We made the search box bigger. They make more money. User behaviour, people looking for what they want, finding it quickly and being able to buy it. It's not rocket science. Look at that! What a waste of space! There's no buttons on there. Buttons attract clicks, understanding users' behaviour, working out what we want them to do and persuading them and influencing to take the actions that we want. Heat mapping is a tool called Crazy Egg. It's buttons. Get it on your website and start interpreting what's going on. This was the other day I was thinking about, as you can see, I was thinking of going to Calidore. Somewhere in Calidore anyway. And suddenly, the first time I think I've ever seen this, I saw that. Voice of the customer. Google is asking you, how do you feel about those set of results? They actually give a shit about how you feel when you see this stuff. Okay, so should you. There's a direct correlation on the click-through rate of those links to your organic visibility of those pages. Do you measure it? Do you do anything about it? Because you should. Because Google gives you shit. And they won't even get to your site if this doesn't attract them in. Voice search. Who's seen the adverts? Okay, Google, tell me about the penguin. Tell me about this. Everything starts with a question. They are spending, globally, hundreds of millions of pounds to push us down towards the Star Trek computer. In Star Trek, you ask a question, Jean-Luc Picard gets... That was Spock. Jean-Luc Picard gets what he wants. Google is moving us. It's got a big, big bee in its bonnet about voice search. Are you thinking about voice search? If you haven't, technical thing, get schema tags on your website. Schema tags on your website helps Google understand the relations of what's going on your page. But here's the thing. Let's go back to people. Your personas, your target clients, your target customers. A funnel. You've heard about funnels today. See, think, do, delight. Consideration stages that people move through as they start to make decisions. Okay? Answer the questions that your customers and clients ask and write about it. At the C level, future problems, challenges, pains and pleasure points, the things that they seek, the problems that they're looking for you to help them solve, write about them. And even better, get your target customers to write about them for you and give them a platform. Consideration questions, educational, how-to. How-to stuff can become evergreen content that will give you traffic forever. They're now at the buying stage. They're on the job detail page or the e-commerce page. Buying questions. What do they typically ask you? If it was an e-commerce site, we'd be asking the salespeople who are on the phone when people phone up from an e-commerce site, and believe it or not, often 50% of sales can be done over the phone. We survey real-life salespeople and real-life customers and find out what they want to know. And guess what we do? We put it on the product pages. Who'd have thought that? Objection handling. And when you've got them, ask them questions, engage with them. Don't sell them stuff. Ask them. Be nice. This guy, anyone heard of Ryan Hanley? Ryan Hanley is a best-selling author, The Content Warfare. Go and read it. But Ryan Hanley was ahead of his time. He worked in an insurance company. Oh, insurance is boring. Insurance is boring. We work in insurance. In fact, it's really easy to make people look interested in insurance. But what he did is he did an experiment. He thought, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to ask my customers, what are their top 100 questions? And I'm going to answer 100 questions in 100 days. And I'm going to blog about it. I'm going to do a video about it. I'm going to do a podcast. So he records the video. It becomes a blog. And he has a podcast. He now has 3 content assets. Every day he's got 300 pieces of content in 300 days that answers his customers' questions that they ask regularly in 3 different ways of consuming it. You can listen to a podcast and get the answers while you're in the gym. You can watch it on video. You can read about it. And Google can index it. And he puts it in YouTube and he sticks it in Facebook. And the website traffic did that. Go and ask for your top 100 questions. And guess what? They'll start appearing in voice search. Or you can buy people in. So just some quick tactical stuff. Google AdWords. Who's tried Google AdWords? Who thinks it doesn't work? Okay, that's good. Makes a change. It's quite an interesting one because we get lots of people coming into us and saying, it doesn't work. It works if you know what you're doing. Okay, it makes a massive difference. In your world, we've got an agency in Manchester. Every £1 they spend, they make £66 in fees. That and the SEO work that we do with them is worth £850,000 a month now. Every month. So AdWords works. Who has done Facebook dark posts and custom audiences? Okay, let's tell you a story about this. In insurance, the cost per acquisition, the cost per sale of an insurance policy in AdWords is £26, 33p, and they make a great profit margin on that. We said to our client, you must try Facebook dark post. They're like, what the fuck is a Facebook dark post? Okay, it's an advert that appears in somebody's stream, cleverly targeted but doesn't appear on your page. The cost per acquisition when we tried it with a budget of 500 quid, just 500 quid, was £2.32. A huge, huge ROI. In 4 weeks, they spent £40,000 on Facebook dark posts. LinkedIn, who's got a LinkedIn profile in here? And I guess you've got lots of connections. If you can get hold of those connections, because LinkedIn's been a bit of a pain in the arse with that at the moment, if you can download them and import them into Facebook, you can create custom audiences, and it will go and find those people in Facebook for you, and then you can ask for look-alike profiles. And you can start marketing your message and your content towards people that look like customers and networks and connections that you've already got. We have actually advertised to the wives and girlfriends of oil and gas engineers to try and get them to make them move. We've actually done things where we put people's faces in adverts so they see their own profile picture when they log into Facebook. The ROI in Facebook, if you know what you're doing now, is incredible, but it's only, the price of it is only going to go up. So go and check that out. And is anybody doing Gmail advertising? You can target adverts based on people's keywords in their emails. Seriously clever, direct marketing, tactical, on and off traffic. On and off traffic. Geofencing. Anyone heard of geofencing? You can drop text messages on buildings. So if you know where your competitors' candidates go to work, drop away. We're doing this with a build society at the moment. The ROI is incredible. But again, as like marketeers ruin everything, we train bullshit monitors. People will get pissed off for this. But right now, it works a treat. But it's not about creating networks. Okay? It's not about just creating a network. It's about building communities. And there's a difference. I guess everyone in here is in a network. Yeah? How many groups are you all in where you continually give in to the network? They're like ring donuts networks. Everyone's connected, but there's nothing in the middle that keeps it going. Often when you join a network, it's about the get. You join it to get some benefit at the beginning, but it becomes a bit like a desert because it doesn't be kept. There's nothing keeping it alive. There's nothing keeping it alive. We've never been so connected, but possibly so disengaged. But communities are like jam donuts. I like jam donuts. I like jam donuts. They're like jam donuts. There's a stickiness. There's content in the middle. There's something holding it together. People participate. They give and they get, and it keeps it going, and the community grows. In anthropology, hundreds of studies have been done, and the magic number is, as humans, we can't keep our relationships alive with more than 150 people. So just think about how many people are on your LinkedIn profile. We do this big time with our e-commerce clients. We build a community of influencers and we keep them alive because it amplifies our brand. Some of you may have heard of this guy, Ram Fishkin, an SEO god. Guy got a company called Moz.com. Check out his Whiteboard Fridays. If you're interested in digital marketing, his Whiteboard Friday is brilliant. It's religious in my diary. I watch it every Friday. And everyone thinks about SEO when we talk about Rand. And he gets some engagement. But often, a community comes together when there's a real problem and people suffer adversity. His most engaged post of all time was when he suffered depression. Not when he told you how to become an SEO god, but when he showed his vulnerability and he talked about the risk of his business shutting and how it made him depressed. And the community went mad and they got behind him. So sometimes talking about things going wrong or when you're vulnerable shows sincerity and it's more authentic and genuine. And that's when you know you're in a community. So find your influencers, target 30 or 50, not the masses, and build that community and make it pay off. Make it pay off. Oh, can't wait for Star Wars to come out, man. I'm going to have a whole new slide deck. Oh. Storytelling. The book, which you so eloquently put, I can't even remember the words, but it's better than whatever we wrote. Storytelling. Everybody's talking about storytelling and marketing, and I totally agree, but it must have narrative. You know, if it's just about the facts and the figures and we've been here since 1962 and this is our story and we've done this, no one gives a shit. But it's how you overcome challenges, and if there's tension and conflict and problems and pain, and then we talk about how we solved them and how we helped. They're great stories. It wasn't Alexandra the Average. It was Alexandra the Great. Great stories will amplify your brand, but it's the tales that must be told. I did a work with one of the biggest, I can't say who it is, but one of the biggest red logo mobiles companies about pitching the brand. And they said, yeah, no problem, Dave. No problem, Dave. Here's a load of numbers for you. And they gave me a load of numbers of how they're the biggest technology company in the world, and we've got this many this. And I was like, no one gives a shit about this. So I'm with the group of HRDs. I'm like, come on, someone let's talk stories. Let's tell me some stories about what all this crap means. So the Irish HRD spoke. She goes, oh, I've got a great story. And she tells this story much better than me. And she talks about being in Ireland. And she goes, yeah. She goes, actually, I tell this story. There's this farm in the middle of Ireland. I don't know where it is, but it's in the middle of Ireland. And this family, for generations, have been in farming. And they've really been struggling. But they've got this young lad. And at about 12, he was obsessed with classic cars and antique cars. And he really got into exhaust pipes. Crazy stuff. And he really, really got into exhaust pipes. And over time, he learned how to make them. He was making these exhaust pipes in the farm. The sheep were scared. He now sells exhaust pipes around the world, ready-made to order, bespoke for antique and classic cars, all because of this mobile network. And that's the tale that needs to be told. It's not about the numbers, it's the narrative behind the story. Zappos are amazing at this. Zappos have mapped their CX to death. They have a community that cares massively. They empower their teams to be brand ambassadors because they can make decisions on the spot. There's a story about a groom who had no shoes for his wedding. He's like, oh man, I'm getting married tomorrow, I've got no shoes. He phoned Zappos. They sent him 12 boxes of shoes. I don't know how many times he was getting married, but they sent him 12 boxes of shoes and they gave them in for free. Imagine how they felt, but it went nuts. Brand ambassadors, they challenge the conflict. I've got no shoes, the wife's going to go mad. The wife-to-be, she's going to go mad. Don't worry, like a hero, we're going to save the day and make you feel better. Narrative in the story, real life, not synthetic like John Lewis's, where they make this shit up. Real life stories. Trying to think what slides are coming next. Then we need to get personal. Personalisation is super duper cool at the moment, and that's where digital's going. That's where I know Josie's in here somewhere. Their new stuff's going to be mega cool, what they're planning. Personalisation. The Coke bottles. Did anyone go looking for the name on the Coke? Yeah. Yep. Personalisation. Bringing the community closer. But my little lad, Louis Google Jr., is Louie. Could I get him a bottle? No! I got loads of crap because I couldn't get him a bottle, but guess what Coke did then? They release a website where you can personalise the bottle. Google Jr. was happy again. Personalisation, bringing the community closer to you. If you go into Euston Station, every week there's a new iPhone 6 camera photo from the community because the community is amplifying the product and the brand and the quality of the photos. That's what Apple are doing. Even dogs are getting personalised food now. Tails.com. You tell it what dog you've got, how it weighs, how long its hair is. It personalises the food and sends, and you get a direct debit every 2 weeks with a personalised bloody account and everything. It even sends you personal emails and all kinds of shit. The dogs are made up. Look at him. Look at this little fella here. He's like, I'm not called Ellie. What the fuck's going on? This is something that we do. That guy's head of talent for a huge organisation. That's a video that we record as outreach to our target friends we want to be. We record a video, personalised video. We do it every Monday. We send them the Getting Goosebumps book. And magic happens because we bother to personalise the message. We reach out to them in a different way. Personalised creative outreach is cool until marketeers fuck it up again. But it works. That happened yesterday. We then thought, sod this, let's go for the marketing gods. Seth Godin has an amazing haircut. Has everyone heard of Seth Godin? You must have heard of him. He's like a marketing god. So we thought, well, sod this. We'll go after the top 50 marketing people on the planet. And it started with a truck. It started by sending him that truck. We've got an interview with Seth Godin and the top 30. We've got 12 of them in the can now. Our podcast, Getting Goosebumps, gets released next month. We've got 2 broadsheets who want exclusive content from it. All because we thought of personalised content and actually dared to have a go. This will be gold dust for our brand in the next 12 months. We're just a little old agency in Liverpool. We use video for follow-up, personalised messages. Has anyone done that in here before? Why aren't you thinking differently? Personalised messages will get attention. And then personalisation is a digital experience. Websites are actually getting quite clever now. Who's got Netflix? We've all got Netflix. Has anyone seen Sons of Anarchy? Oh, hey, how good is Sons of Anarchy? Don't say anything. I'm on season 3. Oh, it's ace. Ace. Anyway, that's something. But what does it ask you when you first go in? We might put a cookie on your website because we're going to personalise stuff. It gets to know your tastes, your usage, your frequency, you dip in and out. Every now and again, when the wife's not around, you might look at black is orange or orange is black every now and again, see what's going on. You know, don't tell the wife. Don't show that to the wife. She loves it, really. I know, if I log in as Alison, she's all over it. Anyway, but what does it do? It gives us personalised experiences to our tastes. That's what it does. Amazon. If customer A likes this, but customer B buys that product and has a similar profile as customer A, show customer A the same products that customer B's bought. Personalisation. Drives conversion rates, drives ROI. Made.com. There he goes. Made.com. A brilliant, brilliant website that brings personalisation in, but goes so much better than that. The framework of their pages is awesome. People feel first, think second. We have to connect emotionally to get to the rational thoughts. It's how we're wired. End of. The first section on their page is not just the product, because they know that the persona buying this beanbag is typically 25 to 35, female, kind of cool, could be buying her first or second property and might be thinking of kids. But we're not just going to show them a beanbag. We're going to show her with a nice lipstick on that matches the beanbag, all over the beanbag, in situ with products. And we're going to have lots of high gloss shots, emotional connection drawing her in. The conversion button, the only colour yellow you'll see on that site is a button of action to make you buy. We've changed colours of buy buttons and increased conversions by 22% just by going from yellow to green. Just change the colour and try it. But it gets better. We read in an F online. Heat mapping shows us we go bang, 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 like that. That's how we look at a web page. You don't read all the words. This section is emotional again, but it's now storytelling about the product. That is a video of the story of the photo shoot, and she's having fun. My God, she's having fun with a beanbag. I'm loving this stuff. The perfect fit. In all right, you can take it outdoors. It's amazing. And then it gives me the rational facts and figures, so I confirm to my emotional part of the brain I'm buying the right product. I'm going to buy one of these, but just in case. The next thing they've done is they've engaged their community and asked for user-generated content. Send in your pictures of you using the beanbag. And guess what? They've got one with a baby kid on it because they know she'll be thinking of kids. People feel first, think second. Emotional and rational content with a framework that's going to get me to buy more. Persuade and influence people to do what we want. That started at the very beginning by understanding the person, not the digital stuff. Understanding people's behaviour. Don't design for dissatisfaction. Actually, you know what? That could have been me as a kid, that, I think. But more than anything, and I've heard a few, there's been a few themes around this. This for me is about the culture that you put in. There's not many digital marketing people in your world. You know, I walk into other worlds, like, you know, like in e-commerce, and we're surrounded by our clients with them. But in your world, they're not. But that's a great opportunity to create a culture with passion. I love this. Culture is simply a shared way of doing something with passion. I love that. It's about the right attitude to do the right thing and have the right approach. Attitudes give behaviours, behaviours give experiences, experiences give results. So get people with an attitude to give a shit about this stuff and you'll win online. People feel first, think second. Win the hearts and minds of your customers and your candidates and you'll make more. Thanks very much.
Dave, that's brilliant, as always. I always love to hear what you're doing, what you're working on. I'd love to hear who's doing this well. Like, well, one, is there anyone in our sector who does it well? Or are there examples of when it has been done well in the past, or even small examples of who's doing it really well? Great kind of campaigns, pages, redesigns, user flows, anything else that you've seen?
What a big question that is. I think with the personalization stuff, it's you know, a lot of the e-commerce. I mean, Amazon. I actually hate the design of Amazon, but if you think about what Amazon do, they will. Part of behaviors is habit, and we're so used to using Amazon in such a certain way that they almost are very reluctant to changing stuff. But if you look at what they do, the one-click purchase. I mean, who uses the one-click purchase? Holy shit, I mean, that's like a bankruptcy button, isn't it? You know? But it's genius. How easy just to go, oh shit, I've bought it. That's what happens. My wife, if she sees me logged in, she's like Daley Thompson Decathlon on it, you know. The other thing that Amazon do really well is they test the living, really test. So, you know, they will change their button by pixel sizes to see the difference it does in conversions. Something that Amazon do a lot is they mess around with their search bar. So the search bar, from what we see, search bar on a website, you know, it's often an afterthought for people. So like if that was a web page there, the top right sort of fifth of the page up there, we all know checkout's there. We all know search is there, the search box. It's becoming a place of action for familiarity, and our behaviours take us that way. And if you're not, what they do is they mess around with how you find the product as quickly as possible, and they will just change the length of the search bar. They'll change the way it suggests things as you search in it. ASOS is pretty cool, the way with their search box it will tell you what's in stock and what's not in stock. So as you type it in, it's saying you how many's in stock. So it's always trying to help us understand what's coming or isn't coming. It's always sort of customer centric. I think Google's an interesting one at the moment. I was actually reading an article the other day about peak Google. So some people think if Google hit their peak. Now, if you go back, I don't know if anybody's heard of Matt Cutts. So Matt Cutts was like the head of spam since I had hair, and he suddenly went on gardening leave. It was, I'm taking a break, but he hasn't come back. And behind the scenes, there was a lot going on with Google Plus, and suddenly Google Plus has been sort of sidestepped. And if you look at the algorithm changes we've had over the last 3 or 4 years, it's been very much behavioural stuff now. So, you know, panda and penguins and all this. So Google, I think, is really trying to push the boundaries, hence the screenshot that I literally saw Sunday morning with, are you satisfied with this? So I think it's going to be interesting how they evolve, what the search results look like. So when you look on your phone, you see mobile friendly now, for example. So it's before you even go in, it's giving the user a cue. Is the experience going to be good or bad before you get in there? One thing that they are doing, which could piss people off, is when you're on desktop, if you were to actually look at the amount of advertising space that's on there now compared to the organic listings is shortening. So there's lots of things going on interested in there. I think Made.com, you know, they're doing a really, really good job on emotion and rational thinking. Funny enough, I had a meeting with Zurich about 6 months ago, Zurich Insurance. Yeah. And they've got some really, really clever stuff coming down the track on personalisation, which is really, really interesting. But I think, forget digital for a second, I don't think the digital world or people working in digital do enough of understanding the people. You know, and you know that's kind of where we've grown our philosophy a lot over the last 2 years, probably started about 4 years ago, which is, you know, digital people are always focused on keywords, and that's what it was. It used to be keywords, and now it's more topic modelling, content modelling, and that comes from understanding what these people want. So I think, you know, there's been a massive change, but really, if you go back to the greatest market, you know, I'm sure you've heard me say this, you know, people like David Ogilvy, it was always about understand the customer first, you know, so it's people first and forget about Google.
There's a brilliant, ever know David Ogilvy? Yep. Most famous man in advertising, arguably today. He was recently interviewed for the Freakonomics blog. If you go onto the podcasts, you'll see there's a 30-minute fantastic interview with him. Just talking about his philosophy of marketing back in the day, what he was doing. In the 60s, what he's talking about is fresh today in terms of the approach and his thinking around marketing and what he's done. Are you familiar with the KLM campaign they ran last October?
Yeah.
It was was that Make It Happy or?
I keep thinking of WestJet.
So do you want to, because you're talking about the personalization and the surprise and the stories. I was doing this yesterday. The KLM had a campaign last October. KLM are known in the Netherlands for being kind of quirky airline, kind of fun, and they're really good customer services. But they don't really have that reputation internationally. They're trying to break out and build an international brand. So for 5 days last year, they set up a command center with 200 people working 24 hours a day to basically solve the problems of people who are traveling on Twitter. They spent 6 months researching all the kind of shit that people post on Twitter. I've missed a plane, annoyed with this, my airline got delayed, blah, blah, blah. And they said they're going to solve people's problems, as many as they could for 5 days, 24-hour day, which is great if you're solving your own problems, but they decided to solve every airline passenger's problems. So they sought out so many different people, and they would send them messages. They set up a green screen where they could video solutions there and then, put the screen behind it, and have 5 minutes later a video answer to someone's problem sent out to them, helping them. But some of the stories they told around it, one I love is they hired a speedboat to be sitting on the Hudson River in New York 24 hours a day for 5 days to get people to JFK if they're stuck in traffic. And they had videoed a guy who they brought, he was an American Airlines passenger who got stuck and was going to miss his flight. And they tweeted it, and they found him, and they sent a taxi to get him to bring him to the speedboat, put him on a speedboat up the Hudson. They have a photograph of this guy with his life jacket on.
James Bond, did it?
Going up the Hudson. Then they got him at the other end, and then taxied him over to JFK, photographs, videos, making the flight. What does it say to you as an airline traveler when you see KLM solving the problems of American Airlines passengers? What does that say to you? What does it say? We care. More than that, though. You've flown American, you've seen this beautiful stuff, or you're on British Airways and you see all the stuff with KLM. What are you starting to think? I'm flying KLM, I'm checking their prices next, right? But who's telling you KLM is brilliant? Who do you think started sharing the stories of what happened, the speedboat, etc.? The people that helped. The beautiful power was, it wasn't KLM saying, look how wonderful we were. Because they got to know their audience, they sought out the problems, and they sought out the people and the stories. And a traditional marketing message was just focused on how brilliant we are, our 98% customer satisfaction, back to the numbers that no one gives a shit about. Instead, they said, let's find stories and let the people tell their own stories. And that's good enough for us. They spent a fortune on this. It was enormously successful.
It's the narrative. I mean, you know, we're doing stuff with Virgin Media at the moment, and they have these acts of random kindness, and it's known as Virgin Magic, and you know, and I'm sat there, and they're just telling me these. So one of the stories was, so I say, come on, tell me some stories, Graham, tell me some stories. It's like, well, there's one engineer, and he said they had this phone call on Christmas Eve, and this old guy was on his own. His wife had not long passed away, and he was on his own. He's like an elderly guy, and he was like he'd literally like sleep in his front room. His telly was there, and they put a box in, and they got a phone call on Christmas Eve, and they said that he's like, look, you know, this isn't working. This box isn't working. So the engineer went to see him, and it wasn't the box. It was the telly it broke. It's an old TV. The engineer went and bought him a telly with his own money. I'm getting goosebumps telling you the story. And come back and made this guy's Christmas. He was on his own and he bought him a telly. Nobody knows that story. I'm like, holy shit. There's another story. This guy, he fitted the box. The guy's colourblind and he couldn't work the control. So the engineer went away that night, looked, researched colourblindness and made this guy remote control so he could understand the colours. Real emotive, rocket fuel. But the difference is it's real life. Real life. Pains and problems of customers being smartly used by marketeers to leverage a brand, but it's real life. That's where John Lewis is different. John Lewis we look forward to the next one, but it's made up. It's a made up story. You change people's lives. Do you tell those stories? Would you just wait for the next placement? You guys, I'm sure every single one of you in here who's placed candidates have at least one incredible story where you've changed somebody's life. You know, and I sometimes think because you know, from the outside, looking into the recruitment space, there's a lot of cynical feelings towards recruitment. You know, a lot of people get pissed off. I mean, we used to tell our front of house, if you put a recruiter through, you make tea all day. You know, Melissa White, I used to joke 2 years ago, Melissa White, it's like my ex-wife. I get emails off her every day. She phones me every day. I feel like she's my ex-wife stalking me or something. But, you know, it's if you scratch below the surface, it's not transactional. It is really life-changing. You know, you really have real-life opportunities to tell incredible stories, but with real narrative. There's an agency we work with at the moment, and it's an internal story, and it's about how this woman's pregnant, and she's going to have a child, and she lives in this quite rough place. And the MD said, right, I'm going to really coach and mentor you to change your life, to help you get into a place when you've had the child, to live in a better environment, to have your own house. And in 18 months, she achieved it. Because the people at the top and the community around it internally really cared about helping this woman change her life. I mean, that's an incredible story. Incredible story. You know, it's about leveraging that. You know, it's real. Because the John Lewis thing is going to die. I didn't like the last one, and we know it's made up. You know, it's not clever enough. It's just not clever enough anymore. You know, marketeers bottle up emotion. So go and unearth the real stories. And I think that this sector, you know, has the real opportunity to smash KLM and everybody else out the water, because it's life-changing moments. There you go, there's a campaign for you, life-changing moments.
Yeah, I think to me it's how do you find those personal stories? How do you not talk about how the client you work with saved loads of money, the client you work with hired 100 people? You talk about the change that impacted. How did that help either a person in the company, a group of people, or how did it help society? And what are those stories? And it's really pinpointing those. I think when you're looking at your marketing, looking at your client, trying to get new client stories, looking at website redesign, to Dave's point, and why I love Dave's stuff is, it's not about the technology. Really, it's not. It's not about, you know, although you can make fancy buttons and everything else, it's really about the stories, and it's really about the people. And if you can seek that out in your own teams, your own organizations, then just, even if you fucking half-arse make a video, it doesn't really matter. Really good stories sell. It's what we used to call just reputation. Reputation of the consultants that worked with different people, somebody went the extra mile and spreads that to everyone they know to say, that person will get you the job. Here's what they did for me. She's amazing and here's why. But how do you actually, as an organization, especially as you grow, how do you actually scale that? How do you make sure you're leveraging that and making sure you keep that as your focus, not the digital investment, but the storytelling?
You know, everybody has those moments, don't they? It's like, It's like, remember the Walt Disney advert? The magic starts the moment you tell them. You know, and I mean, how many times could you capture that moment in families across the world? Real life. But, you know, if something corporately or something, you know, not catastrophic, but, you know, there's a reputation. So we're working with a payday loans, not payday loans, but we're working with one of their competitors. And, you know, that's one aggressive, serious world that's getting absolutely battered by reputation. You know, so that is a real difficult fight, and it can be really, really hard. And it won't happen overnight for them. That's one massive flywheel to turn. You know, I mean, look what Wonga have done in their advertising. I mean, Wonga were the ones that got really battered over it all. And, you know, if you take digitally what Wonga does, forget reputation for a second, their form to get people to buy business off them is brilliant. So technically, it's outstanding in terms of form optimization and what it does, and there's and the way they encourage people to continue filling in the form. They actually have part of the form that says, do you own a car or not? Because if you say yes, you're more likely to get the underwriters to go tick and get the money. But their reputation has hammered them. Now they've had a rebrand, and now they're trying to tell stories of how it's helping the person whose washing machine's broken down and overcoming that pain. But the problem is we are tarnished with the reputation. They actually talked about completely rebranding the business and changing the name. You know, so it is a difficult thing. It's a difficult thing to do. But in terms of storytelling, I definitely believe, and I don't think it probably won't last forever, but it's telling the real life stories. It is telling the real life stories and not the synthetic. I mean, I've got a whole deck on storytelling, and I talk a lot about we seek out how people feel at certain stages. We bottle that emotion and think about what emotion they need to see to make them feel better. That's synthetic. But real life stories. If I have a candidate who works on an oil rig and wants to see more of their family, and you've got a bank of stories that tells how you've changed somebody's lives that allowed them to spend more time with their kids, so they see daddy more, and the kids are telling the story. That's a real life story. But it's got to come across authentic. It's got to come across authentic.
Dave, I really enjoyed that. And thanks for staying with us for questions and thoughts and comments. Guys, Dave.